I love dark, warm, smoky fragrances, and that's what I happen to have right over here. When I first started collecting fragrances, I started small. I wanted to get the best bang for my buck with everything that I purchased. But then there came a time where I wasn't satisfied with the Armaf clones I kept stocking up, especially when I started collecting samples and smelling the real things of all the expensive fragrances my fragrances were cloning. But that's exactly what Sandal Amber is. It's a clone. And it's a clone of Tom Ford's Amber Absolute. I guess I should talk about the notes. So now I feel more official at my workstation. Notes on this guy. Pretty straightforward, to be honest. You got incense, you got amber, you got sandalwood because it's amber sandal, patchouli, and labdanum. But essentially, it's woody, very smoky, and resinous with the amber. I'm honestly not cool enough to really smell any patchouli in this. Maybe there's a bit of green woods. As far as woods are concerned, sandalwood fragrances tend to be a little smooth and creamy, and this is smoky, so I just get woods, not necessarily a specific kind of woods. Now let's break this fragrance down a little bit. Number one, does it smell good? Yeah, it smells good. It's a nice smelling fragrance. It basically fits in with other Tom Ford private blend fragrances. I think I said that right. Because it's cloning one, or at least trying to. It's rich and mysterious, and well, maybe not mysterious, because mystery implies a bit of subtlety, and this isn't subtle, it's beast mode, bro. Not one of my all-time favorites, but I do know a guy whose all-time favorite is Amber Absolute. Next is the performance good. It's crazy. It's very good. Definitely the best performing Parfums Vintage fragrance I've ever tried. It is a fragrance that will last until the morning after, and I know from experience it totally does last that long, and that's after 2 sprays only. Next is versatility. Now, surprisingly, this is a little more versatile than... I missed it. I was trying to point it. This is a little more versatile than you think. While most people will say strictly cold weather, outside, that's it. I have worn this in the warmth. I wore this today when I went ziplining. Shoutouts to Vanuatu Jungle. And I put 1 spray on and I got a compliment because I knew I was going to be in the woods, in the jungle. So there's all sorts of aromas happening. I also knew I'd be wearing an older harness and that might have a bit of a strong smell to it too. So this cut through all that and it was favorable, which is great. Now I'm a bit of a risk taker, a bit of a gutsy guy, so I wouldn't recommend everyone wear this in the summer, but you can get a little experimental with it. That being said, it's still way less versatile than a lot of other fragrances I own. Now, most importantly, how close is this to the original Amber Absolute? Here's the problem. I don't actually have Amber Absolute with me, but what I do have is my review on Amber Absolute when I did have a bottle of it. So let's check that out right now. The Holy Grail fragrance, Amber Absolute by Tom Ford. Absolutely ambery. When I hear people talk about this fragrance, they say it is the epitome of amber fragrances. It's an amber bomb. Guys, I don't know. To my nose, this is a lot more than amber. It is one of those incensey, slightly barnyardy, rich type of fragrances with a lot of amber in it. When I wear this fragrance, the incense is what hits me the most. And then the amber rounds it out a little bit. And then the sweet vanilla creeps in and balances it all out. It is a fragrance along the lines of L'air du désert marocain, Zafiro by Xerjoff, Sahara Noir by Tom Ford. But within that genre, this is probably the most warming and comforting because of the heavy dose of amber. Amber Absolute is a discontinued fragrance, unfortunately, so it is very sought after, therefore very expensive. And I'm lucky to have a 100ml bottle of this bad boy right here. It is one of the strongest Tom Ford private blend fragrances in my collection by far. Performance is off the charts. This is a 16+ hour performer longevity wise. Projection, I would catch whiffs off of myself 10-12 hours afterwards. So I would say it would be an arm's length for maybe 6 hours. Not very scientific, but that's my best guesstimation. Why I love this. Extremely rich, extremely comforting, extremely potent. This is an incredible cold weather fragrance. You'll smell unique, you'll definitely be noticed, and you'll radiate for hours and hours and hours. This is not a close encounter fragrance, even though it is comforting. It's so strong, guys, and you can easily overspray this with more than one spray. Why I hate this? I guess my biggest complaint is the price. I mean, it's discontinued. It's really hard to come by, and if you find it, you're gonna be shelling a lot of dough off. I also think this is a fragrance that you would more so wear for yourself. It's not a compliment getter whatsoever, but it is complex and interesting, and it develops really nicely, and it's enjoyable to wear if you're into this kind of fragrance. I would not recommend blind buying this by any means because of the price, but also because of the fact that this fragrance is very, very challenging. Is this bottle worthy? No. Guys, it's just crazy, crazy expensive, okay? Although this is a holy grail fragrance to some people out there, that doesn't make it objectively the best amber fragrance on the planet. Amber Absolute has skyrocketed in value. So if you have it, good for you. You got a nice investment here. If you don't fret, because there's a lot of fragrances out there that do something similar to this. So as you can see, I'm not the biggest fan of Amber Absolute to begin with. So that kind of presents a bit of a problem. In fact, my fandom was so low that I just sold it. And I sold it because I was able to get $100 in profit from flipping it. And that's what I did. I just wasn't wearing it, y'all. But then maybe you'll want to wear it, and therefore you might want to find out about this one. So let's talk about it some more. From what I remember Amber Absolute smelling like, I smell this, and yeah, it's Amber Absolute. Now, of course, if I did have an opportunity to do a side-by-side, I may think differently, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't, because even if there is the most insane subtle details up close, the sillage and the scent cloud is going to be very, very, very similar. If you're a huge Amber Absolute super duper fanboy, then you won't want this even if it did smell exactly like it, because you're gonna want the original stuff anyway, so who cares, right? But for me, I wasn't totally obsessed with it to begin with, so I'll take this being close enough anyway. And as far as I'm concerned, it is the same fragrance. It does the same thing, it makes me feel the same way, and that's all I really care about. What I can tell you is 50 ml of this will not cost you $300 like Amber Absolute will. In that respect, obviously value is going to be king with this one. Parfums Vintage sent this fragrance to me for free to try. Wasn't totally excited to have it in my collection because it's not one that I will wear all that often. But to the people that are into this type of fragrance, it's a very, very good pickup in my personal opinion. But a little tidbit I'll leave you with is even if you like this fragrance and you appreciate how nice it is and how artistic it is, it may not be a justifiable full bottle purchase. Over the years, I've discovered that I fell in love with certain decants and samples and blew through those, prompting me to pick up a bottle of it. But then once I get the bottle, I hardly use it. Just be aware that you may be obsessed with a sample, but then not really the full bottle. Really think if it's a fragrance that you want to invest in and wear on a regular basis, because if not, then just skip it. Get a sample, get a decant, live with that, and be cool. If you've tried this guy or Amber Absolute, or better yet, both, then let me know your experiences in the comments, because one person's opinion is way poopier than a bunch of people's opinions. And I know we're very opinionated on this house, so let's just have a dialogue, y'all. If you're into Tom Ford fragrances, I do have a pretty cool video on the private blends, so check that out now if you haven't already seen it. This is just my opinion. Get your own.